Jacques-Louis David was a highly influential French painter renowned for his neoclassical style. He gained fame for his dramatic and politically charged works, which reflected the turbulent times of the French Revolution and the Napoleonic era. David was born to a prosperous family, but he lost his dad at age 9 and his mom left him to be raised by his uncles. They took care of his education and sent him to study art with François Boucher, the leading painter of the time. David painted this in an attempt to win a French art scholarship that allowed students to stay in Rome for 5 years at the state expense. It depicts the death of the Roman philosopher Seneca, who was forced to commit suicide due to his alleged involvement in a conspiracy against Nero. David was profoundly influenced by the Enlightenment movement in France. By depicting Seneca's death, he underscores the Enlightenment ideals of reason, virtue, and moral integrity. The painting can be seen as an anti-royal statement and a reflection on the nature of power and tyranny. In 1775, David won a prize and went to Rome, where he studied for 5 years the works of classical artists like Nicolas Poussin and Caravaggio. Upon his return to France in 1780, David became the premier painter in France and served the monarchy of Louis XVI. David adopted the neoclassical style and blended it with Enlightenment philosophy to create paintings which mirrored contemporary politics. The Oath of the Horatii depicts 3 brothers saluting 3 swords held up by their father, while the women behind them grieve. The story is based on a Roman legend about a conflict between the Romans and a rival group from Alba. Instead of engaging in full-scale war, they chose 3 warriors to settle their dispute. The Romans selected the Horatii brothers, and the Albans selected the Curatii brothers. The painting shows the Horatii taking an oath to defend Rome. The women are aware of the personal consequences of the battle due to the marriage connections between the 2 families. They appear smaller in scale and isolated from the men. David illustrates a clear division of male and female roles, influenced by the Enlightenment and Rousseau's doctrine of separate spheres. This concept assigned women the primary responsibilities of managing the household, caring for children, and supporting their husbands. This neoclassical painting from the years preceding the French Revolution depicts the classical story of the Greek philosopher Socrates, who was convicted of corrupting the youth of Athens. He was sentenced to death by drinking the poison which is offered by his student, who cannot bear to witness the act. Socrates uses his death as a final lesson for his pupils and faces his death calmly. His student Plato is the old man sitting at the foot of the bed, while another wearing the dark red robe is holding the cup of poison. The painting captures the philosophical ideals of the Enlightenment period, emphasizing reason, virtue, and intellectual pursuits. Socrates' death raises questions about the role of government, the limits of authority, and the responsibility of individuals to question and resist unjust laws. This double portrait features the French chemist Antoine Lavoisier and his wife and collaborator, Marianne. Completed just before the French Revolution, the painting was not allowed to be publicly displayed due to the couple's association with the royal court. The painting prominently features scientific instruments such as a barometer, a gasometer, and a water still. These elements emphasize Lavoisier's scientific achievements and his dedication to research. Antoine Lavoisier is recognized as the father of modern chemistry. His notable contributions include the law of conservation of mass and the identification of oxygen and hydrogen. The portrait was purchased by John D. Rockefeller in 1924 and then by the Metropolitan Museum of Art in 1977. The lictors returning to Brutus the bodies of his sons depicts the founder of the Roman Republic contemplating the fate of his sons. The 2 sons conspired to overthrow the Roman Republic and restore the monarchy. Brutus himself was compelled to order their deaths, and in doing so, he became the heroic defender of the Republic. His wife and daughters are shown in various states of grief and despair, highlighting the emotional cost of Brutus's decision. The painting was completed in 1789, and it coincided with the early stages of the French Revolution. It can be seen as a reflection on the sacrifices required for the Republic by the French people. After the storming of the Bastille in 1789, David became an active supporter of the French Revolution and a member of the Radical Jacobin Party. The uncompleted painting captures a pivotal moment in the French Revolution that occurred June 20, 1789. Members of the Third Estate had been locked out of a meeting of the Estates General. They gathered at a tennis court in Versailles and swore an oath not to disband until they had drafted a new constitution for France. The importance of the painting lies in its ability to capture the essence of revolutionary fervor and the collective struggle for political transformation. The painting reflects the ideals of the Enlightenment and the revolutionary zeal that sought to dismantle the old regime and establish a new social order based on democratic principles. Although the painting remained unfinished, the story it intended to tell continued to resonate as an emblem of the French Revolution. The death of Marat is not only a depiction of a significant event in the French Revolution but also a highly symbolic work that intertwines themes of martyrdom and political propaganda. The painting captures the moment after Marat, a radical Jacobin leader, was assassinated by Charlotte Corday. Corday believed that Marat's inflammatory writings and actions were exacerbating the violent reign of terror. She traveled from Normandy to Paris with the intent to kill him. Posing as a sympathizer with valuable information, she gained access to Marat's home and stabbed him in his bathtub, where he frequently worked due to a debilitating skin condition. David's portrayal of Marat borrows heavily from Christian iconography, most notably the imagery of the Pietà, where the body of Christ is depicted after his crucifixion. The careful arrangement of his lifeless body, draped in white, evoke comparisons to Christ's sacrificial death. By depicting Marat in this manner, David elevates him to the status of a secular martyr who sacrificed himself for the revolutionary state. The intervention of the Sabine women depicts a dramatic scene from Roman mythology in which the Sabine women intervene to stop a battle between their Roman husbands and Sabine relatives. The painting shows the women rushing between the opposing sides, pleading for peace and reconciliation. At the center, Hersilia, the wife of the Roman leader Romulus, stretches out her arms to separate her husband from her father, the Sabine king Tatius. David began planning the work while he was imprisoned in 1795 due to his support of Robespierre. European monarchies, including Austria, Prussia, and Great Britain, feared the spread of French revolutionary ideas to their countries and formed coalitions to fight revolutionary France. These conflicts, known as the French Revolutionary Wars, led to the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte. In contrast with his earlier paintings, David highlights the significant role of women in the Republic. This painting is considered a reconciliation piece, promoting peace after the Reign of Terror, a period during which tens of thousands of people were killed. David's support for Napoleon led to his appointment as the official painter of the French Empire. He produced portraits of Napoleon that projected an image of power and authority. After a decade of terror and uncertainty following the revolution, France was emerging as a great power once more. At the heart of this revival was General Napoleon Bonaparte, who had staged an uprising against the revolutionary government and then installed himself as first consul of France. In May 1800, he led his troops across the Alps in a military campaign against the Austrians, which ended in their defeat in northern Italy. It is this achievement the painting commemorates. The portrait was commissioned by Charles IV, King of Spain, to be hung in a gallery of paintings of other great military leaders housed in the Royal Palace in Madrid. Like many equestrian portraits, a genre favored by royalty, Napoleon Crossing the Alps is a portrait of authority and power. It depicts Napoleon on a rearing Arabian stallion, pointing upwards to symbolize determination and leadership. The background features French troops hauling a large cannon along snowy mountains, highlighting the challenging journey. The coronation of Napoleon captures the significance of Napoleon Bonaparte's coronation as Emperor of France in 1804. The large painting depicts the moment in Notre Dame Cathedral when Napoleon, dressed in regal robes, crowns his wife Josephine as empress. The detailed and vivid composition showcases a vast array of figures, including clergy, dignitaries, and members of Napoleon's family, all set against the richly decorated backdrop of the cathedral. An interesting fact about this painting is that David initially planned to depict Pope Pius VII crowning Napoleon. However, Napoleon chose to crown himself, symbolizing his assertion of authority and independence from the Church. Despite this, David included the Pope in the painting, seated with a resigned expression, highlighting the tension between the secular and religious powers of the time. The painting depicts the ceremony that took place on December 5, 1804, shortly after Napoleon Bonaparte was crowned Emperor of France. During this event, Napoleon distributed the Eagle standards to the various regiments of his army. The eagles were meant to serve as a symbol of unity and strength of Napoleon's army, fostering a sense of loyalty and pride among the troops. Each eagle standard was to be fiercely defended, representing the honor and valor of the regiment it belonged to. The original sketch by David included Napoleon's wife Josephine. However, Napoleon decided to drop her from the final painting because he was preparing to divorce her for not producing an heir for him. The French imperial eagle refers to the figure of an eagle on a staff carried into battle. It mimicked a Roman aquila, which was a prominent symbol used as the standard of a Roman legion. Napoleon has his arm raised in a gesture resembling a Roman salute. This same pose was adopted in the 20th century by fascist leaders Benito Mussolini and Adolf Hitler. After Napoleon's fall from power, David was exiled and his work became less politically charged and more focused on mythological and historical subjects. The painting The Anger of Achilles, based on Homer's Iliad, depicts a dramatic scene involving Agamemnon, his daughter, and his wife. Agamemnon informs Achilles that, contrary to his promise, he has not brought his daughter to marry him but intends to sacrifice her to appease the goddess Artemis. The painting captures Achilles in a moment of profound emotional turmoil, reflecting his intense feelings of anger as he draws his sword. Agamemnon's wife looks on sorrowfully with her hand reassuringly placed on her daughter's shoulder. David completed Mars being disarmed by Venus just before his death. Set before a temple floating in the clouds, Mars, the god of war, is being disarmed by Venus, the goddess of love. Assisting Venus in this act are the three Graces and Cupid, who delicately remove Mars' helmet, shield, and armor. Art historians suggest that the painting carries a deeper meaning, possibly portraying femininity as triumphing over masculinity.